Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name is Alexander Stablovsky. I'm the executive producer here at the radio station. And joining me, next to me, is our Suites reporter, Gary Goldman. We do have Evan and Ehrenberg from Xperii Corp. Tell us, what is Xperii Corp?
We're a web and mobile software platform where people can create a profile and easily find research studies from anything from clinical trials testing new medical advances to very basic academic studies to focus groups testing new consumer products.
So you're a library in the medical field.
Something like that, yeah.
So can you give us like an example of what a typical study would be and how the whole process worked?
Yeah, so there's a huge range, and that's actually one of the main things that makes us different, is that we don't really focus in on one very specific type of research study. So looking in the clinical trial field, there can be anything from testing out a new acne face cream to could be a new surgical method for some new heart disease. It can be new drugs for ALS. So there's a huge range in clinical trials. Essentially, every medical treatment that has to go through FDA testing needs to essentially be proven that it's effective and that it works and that the side effects are very minimal.
So let's just talk about the heart situation. I just went through a heart event recently. So say I wanted to sign up for it. What would be involved in that?
So it's a huge range. But in terms of at least just finding the trial, good luck, because right now the best database is clinicaltrials.gov, which is the U.S. government's database of all the clinical trials that are currently undergoing recruitment, and you pretty much have to be a doctor to go through it. So you can type in a condition and search that way, but beyond that, going through the eligibility requirements to even decide if you think that you might be eligible for something is extremely difficult. Typically requires several doctor consultations, and then the ball is entirely in your court to find out if there's a hospital near you that's recruiting, to call the researchers, to try to set stuff up, to see if you're going to qualify. It's a massive headache, and that's one of the main reasons that recruitment's needed so much. So if you look at clinical trials, about 86% are falling behind schedule because of delays in subject recruitment. The typical timelines for recruitment are actually doubling what the estimates should be. And so if you look at it, it's really because it is so hard to find, because there's actually not a lack of interest. NIH found about 82% of general public is interested in trials, and if you look even at sort of rare patient populations where it's really difficult to recruit. So for example, at cancer, about 85% of cancer patients were unable to find a trial that they qualified for, but 75% of those were really interested. So there's this huge mismatch of people wanting to get involved, but they can't, and the researchers very desperately needing people to get involved.